Hello third graders, this is Mrs. Copeland and I'm a math teacher in Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. I'm going to be helping you with third grade memory joggers. Let's take a look at week 8, day 4, problem B. A school recorded absences between January and April. How many more students were absent in February than in March? How many absences in March and April together? How many absences were there during the 4 months? We have a few things we need to remember. First, we use graphs to organize data and make data easier to analyze or think about. Graphs should always have a title that helps us understand what information is on the graph. The title of this graph is Number of Absences. So we know that this graph is going to give us information about absences. Bar graphs and picture graphs are used to compare categories. In this case, our categories are January, February, March, and April. Scaled picture graphs count each picture as more than one. Always look for a key on a scaled picture graph. This picture graph shows us that each smiley face represents 10 people. So we know each time we count a smiley below on the graph, we have to count it as 10 instead of 1. If a picture is cut in half, it represents half the original picture. So if we see a half smiley face on this graph, it's going to be half of 10. And since we know that 5 plus 5 is 10, 5 is half of 10, anytime we see a half smiley, we're going to count that as 5. Okay, let's take a look at our graph again. Sometimes it helps just to go ahead and figure out the total for each category. So if I look at this and I see that each smiley is 10, I count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And on this one, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I can't count this one as 70 because it's only a half of a smiley face. So I know this one just counts 5. So actually it's 65. 10, 20, 25. There's another half smiley face. And then in April, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now let's look at our questions. How many more students were absent in February than March? We see February was 65 and March was 25. So we could subtract to compare the difference, or we could even use a number line. Let's use a number line this time, going from 25 to 65. So since they both are 5s, this is going to be an easy jump. So if I jump 10, that would be 35, 20, 45, 30 would be 55, and then 40 would be 65. So if I add 4 more 10s, 40 here, then we would be at 65. So 25 plus 40 is 65. So there were 40 more absences in February than March. How many absences in March and April together? So I see that March is 25 and April is 50. I can use what I know about quarters with this. That's like 1 quarter and 2 quarters. So together it would be like 3 quarters. So I can add those together, or I can think 20 and 50 is 70 and 5 more. So either strategy would help me get to 75. And this says how many absences were there during the 4 months. So that means now we have to put all of them together. So we have 60, 65, 25, and 50. So what if I add the 10s first? 60 plus 20 plus 50. 60 and 60 is 120. 20 and 50 is 70. So if I add those two together, I would get 190. And then I still have to add my 5 and 5 from the 1s. And that would be 10. So now 10 more than 190 would make it 200. So there were 200 absences during the 4 months. Thank you, and if you have additional questions about this problem, please ask your classroom teacher.